Belly up to the bar, barflies, and have a drink with me. My name is Kellen, and this is the Midwestern Barfly Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming back to the program. This is episode number 18 of the Midwestern Barfly Podcast. Folks, we're legal now. We're legal. 18 of these fuckers we have done so far, and I am so glad to have all of you listen to my stupid voice talk about stupid shit. And to keep the tradition going, we're going to talk about stupid shit again. Yes, we have a great, fantastic show lined up for you, but before we get into it, this show is sponsored by the Midwestern Barfly Gazette Shop. That is right, this is our merch store. That is where you can get all of our classic, beautiful merchandise to tickle your fancies as you go out on the town, or even stay in during these cold months ahead. We have things like the I My Grandma's Bookie line, the Win Bets Pound Beers line. You get a head start for next summer, or just feel like it's still summer here, by getting the Summer Bods Are Overrated line. We have t-shirts, we have hats, we have hoodies, we have long sleeves. Anything you could think of, anything you could enjoy, just check it out at the link in the description of wherever you're listening to this podcast. Fill up your cart, use code MWBFG for 25% off your order. That is right, 25% off your order. And please enjoy. Take pictures, put them on social media, show us what you look like in our merch. And we can't wait to see what you get. Now that that's out of the way, though, let's get into today's topics. All right, to start off this show, I wanted to talk about something. Sorry, take a sip of water. I want to talk about vegans. I know it's a weird topic to talk about, but I saw this video the other day. But bunch of I'm not gonna say vegans because I don't know for sure. Alleged vegans. And that phrase is probably one of the weirdest phrases I've ever said in my life. Alleged vegans. And in this video, these individuals were standing around one of those. It wasn't a meat fridge per se. It was one of those open air meat fridges, if that makes sense. It's where you go to like a Walmart or a grocery store and you come up and it's like it keeps the meat cold, but it's open air, sort of, so that you can just reach in, grab that like styrofoam package of meat with like saran wrap on top, basically. Kind of like where you get like pork chops and like ground beef and like fucking like chicken breast and stuff, if that makes sense. People know this. Like, if you don't know this, you're living under a rock. So basically in this video, and you could see the video, I'll link it wherever you listen to this podcast, these individuals had like shitty funeral music on in the background. It sounded almost like it was coming out of a phone speaker instead of like bringing an actual speaker or like somebody actually playing like a harp or a violin or some shit. And all of them have masks on, so you know it's a recent video within the last couple of years. And they're laying roses around this meat. Like it's a funeral, like it's a ceremony for the fallen animals. Do vegans do this? Do vegans legitimately do this? Like, please, somebody answer me. Hang on a second. As you can hear, I'm still trying to get over this cough from last week's episode. So if I cough, I apologize. But do vegans really go out of their way to make big spectacles to show the world that eating meat is wrong? Like, because I saw like that one meme, that one picture before, where two women were like around a bunch of milk, like at a grocery store, and saying like cows' lives matter and some shit. And it just makes me think, what is your end goal with these displays of animal loving? Again, another phrase I never thought I would say. Not that kind of animal loving, you perverts. Like, just the love for animals and thinking they're being mistreated. Like, are you trying to... Because these displays like this are annoying to me. And if you try to annoy people to try to get your point across, you're not going to get your fucking point across. What's going to happen is people are going to laugh, they're going to make fun of you, and when you retaliate and come back at them, you look like the shittier person. Now, before I continue into this, let me make a point here. I'm not against vegans. Like, if you want to live your life that way, that's fine. Because there are vegans out there that do it for the health reasons, and they just don't say anything. They go, oh, I eat this way, respect it or don't. That's just how I live my life. And God bless you. Like, allowed to live your life. I don't care. It's going to suck going to dinner with you because it's going to narrow our choices down for restaurants exponentially. But if you want to live your life that way, that's fine. Same thing goes for the animal-loving vegans. Again, get your mind out of the gutter, you perverts. If you want to be a vegan because you think eating meat is cruelty to animals, live your life. But when you go out and you, like, not ostracize, but, like, demean people that are, like, just eating a cheeseburger, basically, and say, oh, you're a terrible person. What did that cow ever do to you? Fuck off. Like, seriously. Like, these displays, these acts of just sheer insanity just make you look like crazy people. I'm not saying you're crazy, because, again, that people could come at me for that, and they're not, actually, fuck it, yeah. It makes you look crazy. To, like, yeah, and you could go all over the internet and you'll find videos of vegans just yelling at people. They're throwing, like, red paint and shit on, like, fur coats. Again, fur coats is another subject, but I'm just trying to make a point here. And it just makes me think, why? Like, you don't have anything better to do than to, like, going back to this video, to go to a freaking grocery store. Go to a grocery store and leave roses in a meat chest like that. You have nothing better to do. It perplexes me, but at the same time, I know some genius individual waited until those people left, walked up, grabbed some pork chops, grabbed all those roses, brought them home to their significant other, and had a beautiful night, a beautiful evening. Like, we were all romantic about it. Presented the roses in line and said, oh, I got these at the store or whatnot, when really you just got a dozen roses for free and a beautiful evening out of it. But that's just neither here nor there. Anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think about vegans, about these kind of vegans. Let me know in the comments, because it blows my mind that there are actual folks out there that live their lives that way. But please let me know. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you think I'm an asshole, because I'm saying this through the lens of I would like to learn more about why people do this shit, and not like the mocking sense. But at the same time, folks like this are going to, if they met me like in person, folks like this would come at me and call me an asshole and like say I'm an animal killer and whatnot, when really I'm just buying the meat from the store. I'm not killing the animal. But again, another subject, another day. So let me know in the comments what you think, because personally, I think it's fucking weird. But that's just me. All right, so for the second segment of this show, we're gonna revisit the fantasy doghouse that we tried last week. We're gonna keep this going, see if this hits a nerve with people, that people like it, like something. See if this can stick. So for this week's fantasy doghouse, I wish I could make it easy and just say my entire team, but in actuality, I can't. Because basically, to sum up my week, Lamar Jackson balled out. 43.62 points. The man had, can I get stats here, phone? You're going to let me open up the stat. Here we go. The man had passing, 318 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Rushing, 9 attempts, 119 yards and a touchdown. 43 of my... Shit, where's the point total? There we go. No, that's not it. Oh my god, I'm ruining this. Oh my god, I sound like an asshole. There we go, week 2. 43 of my 125 points last week, were from Lamar Jackson. That means the rest of it came from the rest of the team. Almost half of my points came from one man. And then you have guys like Dalvin Cook, 7.6 points. Josh Jacobs, 9 points. Jerry Jeudy doesn't count because he got injured, so put him aside. Travis Kelce, 10 points. Antonio Gibson, 12 points. The Rams, 11 points. Gonna stay away from that. Robbie Anderson, 4 points. The fuck are we doing? I talked up a big game to start the season, and none of you could have helped me out there. None of you. Like Antonio Gibson, 12 points. I kind of let that slide, even though you should have done better. Travis Kelce, you were my number 2 pick. Dalvin Cook was my number 1. I already expressed my frustrations last week, but Travis Kelce, you were my number 2 pick. You were supposed to be a freaking juggernaut every week. And you give me 10 points? What are we doing? And that was a high-scoring game, too. High-ish scoring game, 27-24. And that was a close game, too. But 10 points. Robbie Anderson scored 20 last week on my bench. I put you in, you get 4? You get 4. I mean, I should have just let Devontae Smith in. And this is what happens every fucking year. Every fucking year with fantasy football. So, and it happens to a lot of people, so this is not going to be new, but to me, it happens. Last week, I had Devontae Smith in my flex. Devontae scored 0 points. Robbie scored 20. I flip it this week because thinking, oh, and Antonio Brown's going to get most of the work because like he did last week. So I'm going to switch it, put Robbie in there. He's going to be the deep threat. They're going against the fucking Giants. And something should come out of it. Excuse me. And something should come out of it. But no. Robbie's going to put up 4 points. They're going to shut his ass down. And DJ Moore, 13 points. You should have more than that. And Devontae Smith has 15. Every fucking week that happens. And plus, even adding that, Jeff Wilson, 12 points. Could have put you in for Dalvin Cook, if anything. And you would have scored more than him. Absolutely the most ridiculous week of fantasy I've ever had in my entire life. Brandon McManus, of all people, 12 points. The dude outscored most of my team. Outscored my first round pick, my second round pick. All of them. Like, the fuck are we doing? Granted, McManus is getting a lot of work because the Denver Broncos are just garbage right now. They're playing like booty holes. But when your kicker outscores Dalvin Cook, Josh Jacobs, Travis Kelce, Robbie Anderson, not really the greatest example there, but after he scored 20 points last week, that's fucking saying something. So basically, Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry that a good fantasy week like that went all for naught. But God, like, what do I do? Who am I? I'm just so absolutely fired up right now that I can't think straight. But who do you trade out of that? Because, I mean, looking to next week, like, they're all averaging decent amounts. Like, DJ 13 points and Devontae 11, I don't like. I had to put Jeff Wilson in there because I don't know what Jerry Jeudy's going to do, if he's injured or not. Picked up Sterling Shepard because he was the best guy on the waiver wire. But I don't think I could trust this team. Well, Travis Kelce... Sidebar. Travis Kelce, you're playing the Indianapolis Colts. If Travis Kelce does not score at least 15 points, even though he's he's projected to get 16. If he does not score at least 15 points, I'll give him a point. I'm going to lose my shit. Indianapolis have played like ass this entire year. And Travis Kelce is one of the number one threats on that offense. Patrick Mahomes should have the best week in fantasy this week, the way that those guys have been playing. Travis Kelce should be right behind him, because Jesus Christ. But besides that, if anybody in my league is listening to this, I'll end this with this. If anyone in my league is listening to this podcast right now, this might be an overreaction. Josh Jacobs. Who else? Maybe even if I get a favorable package, I will put Dalvin Cook on the trading block. Because those first 2 weeks are not what I expected from a first round pick. I did not want to pick Dalvin Cook in the first round. Because I didn't like his past injury proneness. But after doing some research on the guy and people saying, oh, like, you should trust him, this, that, whatever, I went with him. But after putting up he's the 28th running back right now, putting up 13 the first week, 7 the second week. I don't think my heart could take it anymore. I really don't. That was a big boom in my mic. I'm sorry for whoever's listening. But we're projecting at 137 points. And I know this is a big-ass rant. I don't care. I just had to get this off my chest. We're projected 137 points this week. If we don't come near that, some shit's about to go down. I swear. And granted, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, people complaining about players' performances for their fantasy team. But, I mean, come on. 1-1 to start the season. We need to fix something here. What do you guys think, though? Give me some trade ideas. Give me something. Comments, please. Thank you. Love y'all. Next segment. All right, so for the final segment of this show, I want to talk about stupid people. Now, I know I talk about stupid people a lot on this program, but I felt like this one had to be said. So, for those of you that don't know, there was a trend, or may still be a trend, going around where people are cooking chicken in NyQuil. They're calling it the NyQuil Chicken Challenge. I will say that again for people that might have missed it or might have been doing something as listening to this. There are people cooking chicken breasts in NyQuil. And the FDA just came out with a statement. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, don't fucking do that. Like, I just can't wrap my brain around where this shit starts. And the fact the FDA needs to tell people, don't do that. Excuse me for a second. Like, and I'm referencing the New York Post right now. Where did it go? Where is it? Obviously, they're covering the chicken in NyQuil and cooking it. So that's one. Oh, here it is. And this is from the FDA explaining the warning. I'm finding this in the New York Post. You will see this link in the description of wherever you listen to this podcast so that you know I'm referencing this. According to this, boiling a medication can make it much more concentrated and change its properties in other ways, end quote. Now, I'm not a science major. I'm not very scientifical like that. So I personally didn't know that. But it sounds obvious after the FDA says it. But having said that, even though I didn't know that, I'm not a fucking idiot. And I would never do that in the first place. Number one. Number two, why do people need the FDA to tell them not to do that in order not to do that? That's like, how do I put this? That's like buying a set of knives. And normally, like knives that I've seen that are bought, when you buy a set of knives, they come in a box. And then when you get home, you take it out. It's got all the styrofoam, bubble wrap, and bullshit. But on that box, I wouldn't be surprised, somewhere, is a warning that says, I don't know, don't ingest the knives? Don't use the knives on your tongue? Knives sharp, they could cut you? Like, the fact that, excuse me, the fact that our society is at a point where we need to put obvious warnings on shit or say obvious things in the media for them not to do it shows that we're fucked. Like, come on. Don't cook your chicken in NyQuil. That's just obvious in itself. Again, another example. That's like buying a fucking... I'm looking around the room trying to get an example. That's like buying a lamp and putting on the box the lamp comes in. Hey, don't lick the plug that is being used to plug into the wall. Obviously, that box should not say that. But with idiots like this out there that are cooking their fucking chicken in NyQuil, it does. Don't believe me? Look at some obvious products that you may have around the house. Look at the boxes they come in. I guarantee you 80 to 90% of those products have a stupid warning label on the box because the company has to cover their ass for the idiots out there that would try it. I guarantee you. And as you know from listening to this show and reading the articles on our website, I'm a betting man. I'm willing to put minus 5,000 odds on that. Because I'm so sure that 80 to 90% of those products have a stupid warning label on there for idiots like this. Ladies and gentlemen, the point of this statement is, of this segment rather, is don't cook your chicken in NyQuil. Don't use NyQuil for anything else besides treating a cold or a flu or whatever to help you sleep while you're coughing incessantly like I've been doing for the last week. For the record, it's not corona again for the people out there that think it. Use it in its proper form. Because if you don't, then we're going to have stupid FDA statements like that telling us not to do it. I mean, Jesus Christ. I feel like other countries... No, I take that back. This is a joke that a lot of people make, but I feel like there are aliens out there that are looking on Earth and they're saying it's only a matter of time before we invade these idiots and take over the world. And you know what? If aliens were ever to take over the world, they could take over the world like that. That was a bad snap. I can't snap, whatever. It would be so easy, I guarantee you, aliens would just have us all being like their workers and just have us all taken over within 2 weeks, maybe a month, just because our world is chock full of morons that are doing shit like this. I mean, Jesus Christ. Side note, going off of idiots before I end this, another one I just thought of. The fire challenge back in the day. Do you guys remember that? Again, this is a sidebar. Do you guys remember the fire challenge where people would spray flammable shit on their bodies and set themselves on fire and see how long they could stay on fire? That was a real thing. Go look it up. And when that was happening, another media, blurb, statement like this one about the NyQuil chicken, that had to be put out saying, don't set yourselves on fire. That seems pretty obvious, don't we think? Don't set yourselves on fire. Don't cook your chicken in NyQuil. Don't lick a plug on a lamp. Don't use knives for things that they're not intended to be used for. I weep for the future of this world. Jesus. Fuck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. I would like to thank you all once again for joining me on this podcast. I love making these. I hope you love listening to my incessant rambling about God knows what. We will be back next week for episode number 19. But as always, if you would like to be a part of the show, you could always leave a voicemail or an email question using the contact information in the description of wherever you're listening to this podcast. Send us whatever. Send us a what if question. Send a would you rather. Send a question about sport. You can send a fantasy football question. Obviously, from the segment that you heard me do, obviously I have my own problems. So maybe we could wallow in the pity together. Maybe you could send me your problems and we could bounce ideas off each other. I don't know. I don't know if you want my ideas, but that's neither here nor there. Send me a life question that you want me to answer. Granted, I'm not a licensed therapist, so I don't know why you would take my advice, but willing to answer it. And as always, make sure to check out our store. If you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, or any of the other websites, make sure to check out our website, mwbarflygazette.com. That is mwbarflygazette.com. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. See you next Wednesday. Take care. Love y'all.